Tony is going to join me up here, Tony Okungbowa, and then also my amazing DP, Jason McCormick. He's here as well.
Can I ask Catalina to come down and Eric Hayes? Eric Hayes, can you come down, please?
So congratulations on the film. We'll just take a second to wait for people. Do you want to do thank yous in the meantime?
Oh yes, Tony, do you want to start off with thank yous?
Yeah, there's
That's
of
so
course,
many.
there's so many people to thank. Eric, please have a seat, because without Eric, I couldn't have made the film with. So thank you. Sorry, no, we're good. We're good. I want to thank so many people. Jay, Jackie, Debbie, and Mark. Those are our executive producers. Without them, there's no money in film. Thank you guys so much. All the cast and crew, there's so many to mention, from family members to everyone. Amanda, chime in.
Oh, I mean, we have some of our wonderful cast here.
Yes, all the
Gail
cast.
is here.
Gail Harrells.
Maurice is here.
Yeah, can you guys stand up? Can the cast please stand up?
Helen is
Helen,
here.
Gail, Ricky.
Down right there. We love you guys.
Thank you guys so much. That's awesome. And before we go into it, I just want to say a special thank you to somebody who has become probably one of my best friends in the entire world, and one of the characters was based on him, and without him I probably wouldn't have made this film. Alex Torres, where are you? He's right up there. I love you, man. Thank you.
So do you want to start off with maybe talking about how this film came together? It's kind of an unusual coming together of a film, so.
Sure. This, like I said earlier, the story is based on some people in my life, including Alex, who is the Mateo character. We sort of took artistic license and changed it a bit, but it's based on a bunch of things that happened. And I wanted to tell a story, and I can't write. I'm horrible. And so I was looking for a writer, and I met Catalina, and she's an incredible writer. And she took my bare bones idea and flushed it out into a script. And then Eric, my producing partner, he and I got together and we started looking for a director. And lo and behold, Marsalis dropped in our lap.
And they found me.
Yes, and ironically she lives in Echo Park, as do I. And then from there we found the tattooed maestro, as I call him, Jason McCormick. And that's how it all started.
So what was the experience like of shooting in Los Angeles? You have all kind of done work around the world. What was the experience of actually being in LA and making a movie?
I feel like this is a good Jason question.
What was it like to make a film in LA, like an independent film? So Los Angeles is so known for Hollywood films, studio films, and I know many of you have worked around the world. And so what was the experience like of making a film kind of in Los Angeles, where you live? Yeah?
Yeah, no, I live in Atwater, which is like a mile away from Echo Park, so it was really nice to shoot a film in summer in Echo Park. The film's called Echo Park, so it was nice to just kind of be in the location, be in the environment, be in the light. I mean, it was great. I mean, it's my home too, so, and it's close to my home, so it was nice.
I think Jason and I also we talked a lot about light, obviously, and it's a place that we know, so we, didn't have a lot of time to make the movie, and we knew the locations well. We knew the way, like, where the light's going to be, and, all those kinds of things, so it made it so we could get what we needed in the limited amount of time that we had.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the pluses is everyone got to go home and sleep in their own beds. That's a big plus, and we didn't have to pay crew or cast to put them up in hotels or anything. That was cool. Except for Eric, who lives in another country as far as we're concerned, in Palisades. But the rest of us were pretty local, and even you live in Los Feliz, so we were all we're the East Side bunch.
Has it changed the way that you look at Los Angeles?
I don't think I can ever feel the same about going into Chango. But not really. It's actually, I was talking to someone in the audience, like, it makes you want to walk around Echo Park more.
I'm gonna go ahead and open it up to questions. Yes?
Is there a way that you know about the casting process? You've got such a wonderful cast and they interact so well. How did you select your actors?
The question is about the casting process.
Well, Tony selected me, so that.
We selected each other. She likes to
yes.
say I selected her, but trust
But
me,
so-
we chose each other.
So then we start from there, and it was all very kismet. I would like to say I really knew what I was doing, and I made all these decisions, and I knew how it was going to turn out. But this is my first film, and I just did the best I could, and loved Mamie and loved Tony and loved Rico and loved Maurice and loved Gail, and then it all came together. I don't necessarily have like a. And then I knew this was
I
gonna.
just want to mention our wonderful casting director,
Oh yes.
Tamara Hunter,
Sorry.
who also helped with the casting process.
It's her first time.
First time director.
First time, give her a break. Yeah, Tamara, I say Tamara, you say Tamara.
That's why Eric's up here.
Tamara was able to sort of open it up really amazingly for us, people that we wouldn't have normally been able to even see, she was able to bring to the table, so thank you for that.
Yes?
When you had the idea, you said you had some friends and some things that happened, and then you went to find a writer. Was the idea of separate neighborhoods part of that story, or how did that come about? Because what I love about the film is how, moving across town changes sort of your life.
Yeah, I feel it was, I think you came up with that, didn't you? Were you the one who came up with the neighborhoods? I came up with the different worlds, you came up with the neighborhoods.
Well, I think LA is such an eclectic city, and it's full of so many small places that feel like small towns in a weird way that make up this huge city. So I'm originally from Mexico City, and moving up here, just selecting the neighborhood that I was going to live in felt like selecting the type of person I was going to be living here. So I thought, we want to make this story about Echo Park and the sense of community that happens there. So let's bring an outsider, and the whole idea of this connection that helps both characters figure out where they actually belong. So that's where that came from.
Yes. Down the back.
The look of the film is very distinctive, and it certainly informs the story. I'm wondering how you settled on that. You hand it to the music guy? Oh, you're the DP.
I think we kind of just looked at the script and also the parameters that we're working within, and it just kind of lent itself to what it should be. I don't think it was thoughtful but not overthought. So I think shooting in that environment, you just wanted to kind of capture what it really is, or what it appears to be, in the light that we see it. So I don't know if that answers the question.
Amanda is also a remarkable photographer. How was the process of working with a DP, or like being in the moving image? Like how did that translate your background in photography?
Well, basically, Jason and I met, and I saw his work and he saw my work, and we were both sort of like, we could do this. It was very much, it wasn't a departure for either of us, and we really saw things the other person saw, or I would see something and he would say, oh yeah, or he would see something and I would say, oh yeah. So it was very collaborative, and helpful, and but also at the same time, I could never, it's all Jason. Couldn't have done it without him.
Tony, I was wondering if you could speak a little bit about what the process was for you of acting in a leading role of a story that you kind of had in mind and of a filmmaking team that you kind of brought together. How was that? How was it working with Amanda? How was it working with Jason?
Working with everyone was incredible. They were really giving and everything. How the process was I won't be in a hurry to do it again because you wear too many hats as an independent filmmaker. You know what I mean? From decisions that Eric and I had to make, while we're doing it, and then you have to go off and do an emotional scene. So it's from that point of view, I have to sort of really learn to draw the line in the sand, and be like, okay, stop this, go to that. But these guys made it so much easier for me because they created a space and a place where I could, okay, Tony, I remember Eric would come up to me and be like, okay, you have to drop that, forget that, we'll deal with it later, and focus on this. And then Amanda would be like, are you ready? Do you need more time? And we'd go. So it was easy based on the team, but it's not an easy thing to do when you're a hands-on producer, not a producer in Hollywood who says, okay, yeah, I take this title as part of my credit, but hands-on, it was trying at times, but the team helped out a lot.
Yes.
Jason, I just wanted to add that I'm born and raised in LA, and I think you did a magnificent job of capturing the beauty and the unique. I'm raised in Apple Park is what I meant to say. And you just did a great job of capturing the beauty and the uniqueness of it all. I mean, you really did. Growing up.
So it was a compliment about how beautifully Jason captured Echo Park, especially a neighborhood that's changing so much. It almost feels like you kind of caught it on
A moment in time.
A moment in time. Yeah. Yes.
Hello. I just wanted to say, Ronnie Charles from the African Artists Association. Tony, all of you, in fact, very proud of you. I think you did a wonderful job. I can imagine how difficult it was. Tony, exceptionally proud of you because, of course, being a producer and an actor at the same time, you've already mentioned how difficult it is to compartmentalize that. As far as the story's concerned, I couldn't help not having a Hollywood ending, and with such interesting and very clearly drawn out characters, it sort of suggests a potential sequel there.
That's Hollywood.
Echo Park 2, Silver Lake.
It'd be like Mount Washington at
That's
this
funny.
point.
On to the next one. I think we're done there. It was not for any other reason other than I feel it served its time and purpose, and hopefully we can go on and tell other stories. And if they offer me a lot more money, I will do it.
What I liked about the movie is that you guys are entirely different people outside than you are indoors. I mean, there's an interesting sort of dynamic that happens there. I want to talk to, that's a question to the director and you, Tony, and the screenwriter, how that sort of dynamic came across. It's very interesting. It's that sort of thing where in LA, people are really comfortable with one place or another.
I really think that's a question for Amanda. No, I mean, not to dodge it. Yeah.
Well, I think we had, in making our film and being a first-time filmmaker, basically when we were in interiors as well, when we were in intimate spaces, we had more, it was just not easier, but more connection, right? Instead of being out in a park or out on a street and strangers walking by and people are upset that you're blocking something or you're making a film and you're in their cafe or whatever is going on. And then also it's sort of in Sophie discovering this new landscape. It's like she's out on her own a lot in it, and she's figuring it out and exploring it, and I don't know, did I answer that question? I don't think I did.
I also think that part of it for the character, well, my character in particular, was most of the time when he's on his own, when he's indoors, he's with Sophie. And he's really into her, but she's not as into him as he would like. And so he sort of is a different character. Then when he's around Matteo and Elias, he's comfortable. So he sort of straddles this fence of, being, okay, I've got to make sure I'm this cool guy who this girl might fall for. But then when he's around his family, he's like, this is who I am. So, and most of those times with Sophie tend to be indoors, and the times outdoors are with Elias and Matteo.
I think that's such an interesting observation, and I think that it's almost also different for different characters. So, it's a good follow-up to ask Catalina. The story for me was so much about privilege, and I was wondering, there's that scene where just before Sophie decides to go and play soccer with them, and she kind of closes the door and she's like in this like empty house on her own, and it's like a sense of alienation. And then she kind of runs outside to be with them. And I'm wondering if you kind of are making a commentary about different kinds of people in Los Angeles. I mean, I know you are, but maybe you can speak more to what you are saying about the feeling of Echo Park versus the kind of the feeling of Beverly Hills. And
Yeah, I mean, again, this is something that Tony and I talked about a lot, the idea of knowing your neighbors and how in a big city, that's something that most people are averse to, myself included until recently. Just the idea that, you don't want a stranger to come over unannounced and be like in your face and try to befriend you when you want to have the prerogative of being anonymous in a big city. So I think that's where Sophie's coming from, and it certainly has to do with the way she was raised, and it has a little bit to do with snobbery, but we also talked about reverse snobbery in Echo Park, and the idea that if you're like super primed up and you walk into Django, they'll take a little while longer to wait on you because they feel like you're a snob. So it's an interesting dynamic, and that's certainly something I wanted to put in there. And in the end, what at least I was trying to do with the characters in the story was that the only way to truly belong to the place where you're at is to feel at home in yourself, and that's in the end what happens to these two characters.
yes, there's a question there.
Yeah, I just thought also about how wonderful the music played in the kind of love story to the very visible character of Echo Park. And if you made this movie about, say, Saudi Arabia, I'd wonder how it would play to the natives. Have you thought about getting a reaction to the people of Echo Park by maybe premiering it at the Vista or something? Because this is like such a love story. It's so idealized. I mean, Echo Park at night sometimes is very different. So, it's an interesting, it's like a Woody Allen to Paris with Love.
Wow, that's.
It's got, the music helps.
I think I'm going to take you everywhere with me from now on. That's a great compliment.
So I just say, take it to the Vista and see what the people of Echo Park think.
Yeah,
We would love to.
we'd
I
love
mean, we
to
want
do
to
that.
take it everywhere.
Yeah. Can I just say about the music, just really quickly, because you mentioned music. Just so you guys know, all the music in the film was donated. We couldn't afford the music that we wanted, so we reached out. Is Nick Lang here? You are a genius. Thank you so much. And Christopher Knight. You guys,
He's our
thank you so much.
composer who did
Our
such an
composer.
amazing job.
We used a lot of Nick's songs. So what we did was we tweeted out to people, and we were like, if you want to put your music in a film, if you donate the track to us and we choose it, we'll give you credit, we'll give you exposure, but we can't afford to pay you. And people like Nick and other artists, everybody donated the music to the film. So that whole soundtrack is Christopher and people like Nick. So thank you so much.
Other questions? Yes, in the back.
I was wondering, how did the characters arise, and what was the process of developing them? Like, was it mainly during the screenwriting, or did you discover more about them as you were filming with the actors?
I would say that it never stopped. The development of the characters. Like till the day that we finished filming, it was still, you want to think when you begin that you've fleshed out everything and you've got it all there, and then things, you see things while you're filming and things come up and things change and you're spending the whole night talking about what you're going to do the next day and what's going to happen. So it was a constant, I would say.
So how many of you were there who were doing that kind of spend the whole night after a day of shooting, talk about how it was? Who was part of that process? Catalina, were you part of that?
Actually, no.
I feel very left out now. No, I was actually shooting my movie. I directed a movie in Mexico right at the time that these guys were doing Echo Park. So to me, this is like a fantastic celebration. I wrote the script, and I sort of left it in Tony's hands, and then he was like, "Oh, we got this amazing director," and I was just got like tidbits of information. And then I saw for Scott, and now we see this, and it's just like such a great gift, and I'm so proud of the result, and I feel like because I feel like I was kind of separate from it, I can be really happy with it and be like, oh, it's great, it's terrific, and still be like very humble. But thank you guys, really, I was amazingly happy to see the result today. And yeah, I mean, again, it's always, as the writer, you always feel left out of the shooting process, but at the same time, I think in a way that's how it should be, because directors need to take the story and make it absolutely their own, and the same with the characters. So you write a character on a page, and it's necessarily better when an actor makes it theirs. So in a way, yeah, I'm sad that I wasn't a part of it, and now I'm kind of glad that I have some activity.
I can just say something, I mean, to address like that staying up late in independent film, where we have so many people like volunteering and doing stuff at very reduced pay, almost for no pay. But we had a lot of people who were very committed, and Mamie was amazing and brought a lot to her character, and that's part of the like development of the characters over time too, is from the actors playing the characters. But I mean, Jason and Amanda and all of our line producer Eric Rogers, everyone was heavily involved. No one just like signed off at the end of the day and went home. It was always figuring out what was going to happen the next day and trying to make that work better.
Other question? Yes.
This is to the DP. What kind of cameras did you use?
Questions about what kind of cameras were used?
We just had one camera. It was an Epic. And just some old like Bausch and Lomb and Zeiss lenses. It was really simple. You didn't have time, or just not enough time in the day to get too fancy with it. So just really kept it as simple as possible.
Do you want to share a story from the set? I love stories from the set. What was one of the weirdest moments?
The weirdest moment for me was day one, scene one. That was the weirdest moment. I mean, next to Jason, who has, entrusted himself with me as well. I mean, everyone. And then scene one, day one, I just go over to Jason and I go, when do I say action? So that's how we started. Then we got here. So thanks, guys, for getting me here. That's awesome.
I think if I can give anybody a piece of advice, do not film in your own house. Don't do that. But thank you guys so much for it. Really.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. And remember, this film is eligible for an audience award, so you should have all received little white ballots.
Yes, please fill them out on the way out. Thank you guys.